12 years. That's not a bad week, not a rough season. Not I've been going through it lately. 12 years of bleeding. 12 years of waking up tired and going to bed weaker. 12 years of watching your body betray you in slow motion. And in her world, this wasn't just medical. It was social death. 'Cause according to the law, blood made her unclean. That word sounds religious, but it felt personal. It meant she couldn't worship like everyone else. Couldn't move freely. Couldn't blend in. It meant distance. It meant whispers. Meant people stepping back before you even got close, like your pain was contagious, untouchable. And if you've never lived as untouchable, you won't understand the way it changes your mind. You start apologizing for existing. You start avoiding crowds not because you're shy, but because you're tired of watching people flinch. You stop reaching out because you learn the cost of hoping. Still, she tried. She spent everything. Every coin that once had a plan behind it. Every savings she might have kept for old age, for a home, for security. Gone. Doctor after doctor. Remedy after remedy. Promises sold to her like salvation. And the cruelest part? The more she paid, the worse she got. So eventually, all she had left wasn't money. It was time. And time is expensive when you're suffering. Then she heard about Jesus. Not a rumor like the others. Not another traveling healer selling hope like a product. This was different. People didn't talk about him like they talked about doctors. They talked about him like they'd seen mercy with skin on it. They said the blind were seeing. They said the lame were walking. They said even demons listened when he spoke. And something in her, buried under 12 years of disappointment, flinched awake, not confidence, courage. Because hope doesn't arrive like fireworks when you've been hurt for a long time. Hope arrives like a tiny rebellion, a quiet voice that says, "What if this isn't like the others?" But she knew the risk. If she went into a crowd, she would be breaking the rules. If people recognized her, she could be shamed publicly, even punished. If she touched anyone, she would make them ceremonially unclean. That's how the law worked. So she didn't come asking politely. She didn't come announcing herself. She didn't come with a speech. She came like someone who has nothing left to lose. The streets were packed, the kind of crowd that crushes your ribs and steals your breath. People pressed in on Jesus from every side. Everyone wanted something from him. Everyone had a story. Everyone had a need. And somewhere inside that crowd was a woman who hadn't been held in 12 years. A woman who probably walked with her head down, wrapped in layers, trying not to be seen. She moved like a shadow, slipping between shoulders, pushing past elbows, taking hits she didn't even flinch at because pain was nothing new. Her heart pounded so hard it felt like a warning. And in her mind, one sentence repeated like a prayer she didn't know she was praying. If I can just touch the edge of his clothes. Not his hand, not his face, not even his shoulder. Just the hem, the fringe, the edge. Because when you've been rejected long enough, you aim low. You don't ask for miracles. You ask for crumbs. She got close enough to feel the movement of his robe as he walked. Close enough that fear screamed at her to stop. Close enough that she could have turned around and disappeared. Again into the familiar safety of disappointment. But she reached, her fingers brushed the fabric, and instantly, everything changed. Not gradually, not over time, not after a recovery process. Instantly, the bleeding stopped. Imagine that. 12 years of constant draining and then suddenly, quiet inside her body. Peace, like a storm turning off without warning. For the first time in over a decade, she felt normal. Whole, clean, alive. She might have thought she could slip away, just vanish back into the crowd with her miracle hidden like stolen treasure. But Jesus stopped, right there in the middle of everything. And he asked a question that made no sense to the disciples, but would change this woman's life forever. Who touched me? Peter basically said what everyone was thinking. Teacher, the crowd is pressing in on you from every side. In other words, everybody touched you. But Jesus said, someone touched me, because I felt power go out from me. That sentence should hit you, because Jesus wasn't confused. He wasn't guessing. He wasn't looking for information. He was doing something deeper. He was pulling a hidden person into the light. The woman froze. Her miracle was real, but so was her fear, because if she admitted it, she might be exposed, publicly, in front of everyone. As the unclean woman who broke the rules, she trembled, and then she stepped forward, kneeling, confessing everything, Not just the touch. The story, the 12 years, the isolation, the money lost, the shame, the desperate thought that she didn't deserve a conversation, just a thread of fabric. And in that moment, the whole crowd learned something. Jesus wasn't just a healer, he was a restorer. He looked at her. Really looked? Not like society looked. Not like people look when they're deciding whether you're safe to be around. And he spoke one word that rewrote her identity. Daughter. Not unclean. Not problem. Not embarrassment. Not sinner. Daughter. That's not just tenderness. That's belonging. It meant you're not outside the family of God. It meant you're not a mistake. It meant you are seen and you are safe. Then he said, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Notice what he did. He didn't just heal her body. He healed her story. Because if she'd left quietly, she would have still been hiding. People might still have labeled her. She might still have carried shame like a second sickness. So Jesus made her miracle public, not to shame her, but to free her. He gave her back her name. He gave her back her dignity. He gave her back her life in front of witnesses. And here's the part that matters for you. Her faith wasn't loud. It wasn't polished. It wasn't religious performance. It was desperate, trembling, imperfect faith that reached anyway. And that touch, that one touch, changed everything. Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace, Mark 5:34.